You want to be noticed, but the moment attention turns toward you, something tightens. You hesitate before posting. You rewrite messages you've already sent. You want people to see you, but not too clearly. And the question isn't just why you overthink. It's why being seen feels unsafe. 2. Problem deep dive. It shows up in small ways. You think about sharing something real, then stop halfway. You imagine people understanding you, but also judging you. So you adjust. You soften your words. You hide parts of yourself. You stay just vague enough to feel safe. And from the outside, it looks like hesitation. But inside, it feels like exposure. Because attention isn't neutral to you. It carries weight. You don't just want to be seen. You want to be seen correctly. And that's where the tension begins. You replay moments after they happen. Did I say too much? Did that sound right? Did they see me the wrong way? And slowly, something shifts. You stop expressing freely and start managing perception. Even when you're alone, you think about how you'd be perceived. And that's exhausting. Because now, you're not just living. You're observing yourself live. And the more you try to control how you're seen, the less natural you feel. So you pull back. You stay quieter. You reveal less. But then something else appears. A quiet dissatisfaction. Because a part of you still wants to be known. Still wants to be understood. So you exist in between, wanting attention, but resisting exposure. And that contradiction doesn't go away. It deepens. 3. Reframe. Most people interpret this as insecurity. I just need more confidence. I need to stop caring what people think. But that explanation is too shallow. Your brain isn't confused. It's protecting something very specific. The desire for attention comes from a basic human need: connection, recognition, belonging. But the fear of being seen comes from memory, from moments where being visible didn't feel safe. Maybe you were misunderstood. Maybe you were judged. Maybe you were exposed in a way you weren't ready for. So your brain learned something. Being seen is risky. And now it tries to control that risk, not by removing the desire, but by filtering the exposure. That's why both exist at the same time. And that's where it gets complicated. 4. Psychological mechanism. Your brain is constantly predicting outcomes. Before you express something, it simulates what might happen next. But here's the key detail. It doesn't just simulate reactions. It simulates identity consequences. If I say this, what will they think of me? If I show this part of myself, what does it make me? This is tied to something called self-concept regulation. Your brain tries to maintain a stable image of who you are. So when a situation could challenge that image, it becomes cautious. Now, add another layer. Social evaluation sensitivity. The brain is highly tuned to how others might judge you. Because, historically, social rejection meant risk. So your brain prioritizes avoiding negative evaluation. And then comes the conflict. On one side, the reward system. You want attention because it signals acceptance. On the other, the threat system. You fear attention because it increases exposure. So both systems activate at once. Approach and avoid. Move forward and pull back. This creates tension, and your brain tries to resolve it by controlling how you're seen. Not too hidden, not too exposed, just enough to stay safe. But that balance is unstable, because identity isn't fixed, which leads to something deeper, a quiet fear. What if they see the wrong version of me? And that question keeps the loop alive. 5. Practical framework. So how do you work with this without forcing yourself into fake openness? Not by eliminating fear, but by changing how your brain interprets visibility. Step 1. Separate expression from identity. What to do? Treat what you share as a moment of expression, not a definition of who you are. Why it works. This reduces identity fusion, where your brain links expression to self-worth. Example, instead of thinking, if I post this, this is who I am, shift to, this is just something I'm sharing right now. You're not locking in identity. You're allowing variation. Step 2. Control exposure gradually. What to do? Reveal small, manageable pieces of yourself over time. Why it works. Gradual exposure reduces threat sensitivity in the brain. It teaches your nervous system that being seen isn't dangerous. Example: instead of sharing something deeply personal, start with something mildly honest. Then build from there. Safety grows with repetition. Step 3. Limit post-expression analysis. What to do? Set a boundary on how long you reflect after sharing. Why it works. Excessive reflection activates threat loops and reinforces anxiety. Example: after posting or speaking, allow yourself 5 minutes to reflect. Then move on. Your brain learns that expression doesn't require endless evaluation. Step 4. Redefine being seen. What to do? Shift your definition from being judged correctly to being visible as human. Why it works. This reduces pressure on identity perfection. Example: instead of asking, "Did they see me the right way?" ask, "Was I real enough in that moment?" The goal changes from control to authenticity. Step 5. Accept partial misunderstanding. What to do? Allow the possibility that not everyone will fully understand you. Why it works. Reducing expectation lowers perceived social threat. Example: you share something, and someone interprets it differently. Instead of correcting immediately, you let it exist. Your identity isn't fragile. It doesn't collapse from one interpretation. 6. Integration. All of this comes down to one shift. You stop treating attention as a test and start treating it as an experience. There's a difference. A test requires perfection. An experience allows movement. Think of yourself not as something fixed, but something unfolding. Like a wave. It rises, it changes, it passes. And being seen doesn't freeze it in place. It just becomes part of the motion. The more you allow that motion, the less rigid it feels. 7. Quiet, empowering, close. You don't crave attention because you're empty. You crave it because you're human. And you don't fear being seen because you're weak. You fear it because at some point being seen felt unsafe. But that moment doesn't define every moment after. So the next time you feel that pull to be seen and to hide, pause. Not to stop yourself, but to notice. You're allowed to exist without controlling every perception. Because who you are was never meant to be perfectly understood all at once.